barrioloveoldies.com. Órale.
Everyone, what is up? It is I, of course, your girl, Ms. Crystal Marie, and you're tuning into the Barrio Love OD podcast, episode 2. And today we're going to be talking to a vinyl spinner legend in the game. She is the one and only Soulera 5150. So you definitely don't want to miss this interview. Don't go anywhere. Stay right here, and we'll be right back with the interview after our sponsor commercial.
Quinta Estilo invites you to their first annual prison art exhibit going down Saturday, June 15th at Mr. Rosewood's Family Restaurant, located at 10640 Rosecrans Avenue in Norwalk, Califas. Check it. If you have a loved one or know someone who's incarcerated and is an artist, get their artwork submitted at pintastilo.com. And we're also gathering jackets, gloves, and beanies for the kids, with 3 original Pinta Estilo art pieces being raffled off. Pinta Estilo Prison Art Exhibit is free to the public, and the first 100 attendees gonna get some free grub. That's right. Vinyl Ruca, Chicana 62, Nay, Licha, Bree, and Shelly Boo will be bumping them vinyl rolas for you all day long. Myself, Angel Baby, and Miss Crystal Marie, we're gonna be your host for the day, Baby Bubba. Show! For full info and vendors, hit pintastilo.com or hit them up on Instagram, TikTok, any one of their social media, or call 626-316-4000. Special invite to all you car clubs and solo riders. Show.
So we are here. Thank you so much, first and foremost, for doing this interview. I mean, it truly means a lot to me. And just really quick before we start, one thing that I do want to say is why she's so special to me, and why I couldn't imagine doing this episode with nobody else rather than her for this episode, because when Barrio Love Oldies first started 10 years ago, I was just posting oldies, just posting oldies that I liked. And she's the first one to reach out. And she doesn't even know, but I would admire her from afar. Like, I literally would love all the music that she was posting, and I would just admire her. And when she started, showing love and support, it meant a lot to me, because it gave me that confidence, like, okay, I'm not alone in this. Like, there's other people that love the same sound of music that I love. They're collectors, there's vinyl collectors, and she is a legend in the game. So I have none other than Soulera with me. Thank you so much again.
Hi, Crystal. Thanks for having me. It's been amazing how the soul scene has come up. It has risen tremendously now. I just wanted to thank you for having me. It's been 10 years. I first discovered you as well. My thing was this. When I first started collecting, and I was the same way, I was like, oh, I wonder if there's other people out there that like this stuff, because I was just so over the common oldies that I always thought to myself, there has to be a lot more out there, And when you had popped up, I was like, what? There's somebody else out there doing this too, as a female. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't too popular back then. It was all about me saying, okay, I'm going to make me a YouTube. I'm going to make me a YouTube, and I'm going to start collecting records and start sharing this stuff, because I just wanted everybody to hear it and know it and love it like I do.
Right. So when did you start YouTube?
I started in 2009.
Oh, wow. So I started in 2014, so you had already been posting and doing your thing on social media.
Oh, yeah, big time. I started, and then I started getting a lot of followers, because, see, you have to remember that people that were listening to my stuff was like, whoa, what is this?
Right,
I've never heard this kind of music before, and I go, at that time, they were calling it underground oldies.
Right.
Because it didn't hit mainstream, and it never did hit mainstream until you started having all these other collectors, predominantly male. It was all male at that time.
Right.
Collectors that were doing the same thing as me, that were bringing it up And then you come to find out that, wow, there's a bunch in LA, there's a bunch up in NorCal, there's a bunch all over the United States, actually. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's how it started for me.
So on that note, where did you grow up at?
I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley.
Okay.
And, which is
what
SUV
city?
for us. Mainly in like the areas of La Puente, Baldwin Park, El Monte.
Okay.
You know, I just lived all on that side. I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley, you know, and I've been here ever since. My parents, my mother, she was the one that constantly played music. We didn't watch TV at home. And it was all about the music. You know what I mean? She was listening to, War, Creedence Clearwater Revival. She was into Ralphie Pagan. She was into, I mean, you name it, my mother was into it.
And you said she also worked at a restaurant, or?
No, she was a cocktail waitress and a bartender in all the clubs in East LA, Montebello. She did this place called the Rudy's Pasta House, this other place, Gold Dust in Montebello. So as a kid, on the weekends and the day, she would have to go restock the bars, go clean up, and they would be rehearsing. What I mean by we is that there would be multiple bands, you know, that would come in. And this was a scene back then in the early 70s when we were little kids, you know, running around and stuff. And it was a thing where I was able to see like Tierra, Malo, El Chicano, the Sly Slick and the Wicked from over here from LA. Because you got two of them. There's actually two Sly Slick and the Wicked, if you didn't know that. But there's one from LA area, and then there was another one from back east.
Yeah.
So I grew up to that. You know what I mean? I grew up to the music. So that's all I knew. You know, Saturday house cleaning was her bumping Joe Baton, but she would bump like his salsa stuff, you know, his other
Yeah.
So that was how I grew up, was just music.
So who was more into oldies? Was it both your parents, or you feel like your mom was more influential in that area?
You know what? It was my dad too. You know, his favorite song was Shotgun. You know what I mean? So you know, stuff like that. He was really into music as well. But you know, after they split up, it was just my mom. So when it was just my mom, that's when she became a cocktail waitress bartender, you know.
And you grew up with her?
Yes. And she was working 2 jobs. She had to make ends meet for 5 kids. So, that's when she was, doing all that. I think I was probably about 11. She took me to my first concert. And that was at the East LA City College when it was Santana in Chicago. You know, I was a little tiny kid, you know, rocking out with her, you know? So,
So,
you know.
did you, like, always, like, you just inherited, like, your mom's music? How did you get into music? Like, did you always, like, love oldies, or did that just happen with time? Like, how did you get into it?
Well, like I said, you know, growing up in a household where my mother used to always have her parties, you know, the parties where the kids go to bed, and all the adults are at our house, and she's bumping War full blast, you know what I mean? She was a big War lover, and so am I. I love War, you know, this is because I was a kid and I was listening to this. And then, my mom ended up remarrying, and then my stepdad, he loved music a lot, so he was Earth, Wind, and Fire. You know what I mean? So it was just a combination. It was like, God, this is so cool, because it was all about music. You know, all of us had stereos in our bedrooms, and you know, it wasn't about TV. I didn't really care for TV. Except for Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, when Soul Train was on. Yeah. You know, at that time you're like, what the heck is this?
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And you know what? It's so funny. The reason why I'm asking is because, you know, for example, like my son, I mean, he's growing up in a household where that's all he hears is oldies, but he's not into oldies like that. So that's why I'm saying, like, some kids grow up in a household where they love oldies and they won't, you know, embrace it, and there's other people that do. So
Not
do you
yet.
feel like
Not
you
yet.
were, like,
Mhm.
you embraced it, like, real early on in your childhood?
Oh,
It was
very
that,
early.
really?
Yeah, because it was like at this point, I was being raised in Duarte. It's not too far from where I'm at now,
Yeah.
and I grew up there as far as school and everything. So I started hanging out with a bad crowd and shaving off my eyebrows, drawing the one line,
Wait,
and
how old were you when you shaved your eyebrows off?
I was 13.
I think I was the same age, 11 or
Right.
13, I don't remember. Yep,
Right.
very young.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I did that, and then my mother thought, "Oh hell no! It's time for us to go." So, because I was just getting into the wrong crowd, and I was always a bad kid.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah. So oldies was life. That was it. You were bumping the Delphonics, the Moments, the Temprees. You know what I mean? And Barbara Mason, and just numerous groups. That I was accustomed to, hanging out with the crowd, all your buddies, your friends, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I more or less got into it at
So,
that point.
yeah, so when do you feel like, did you already have vinyl, like, that you just had since you were young, or when do you feel like that you said, this is what I want to do. I want to collect vinyl. Where do you think that came, like, what time in your life did that come into play?
I think I was about 11, and there used to be this place, and it was a head shop where they used to sell pipes and all this stuff. And it was called the U-Haul in Duarte. So what I did was, I used to save my money, my lunch money and all this, birthday money, whatever. So I bought my first 45, and that was, the Jackson 5, Never Can Say Goodbye. I just had to have that record. You know what I mean? I was 11. We already had record players in our house. That was the norm back then. We had record players. All of us did,
Yeah.
And then, so that's when I really started getting into it. And then I would just get the, Billy Stewart, Strange Feelings, I Did Love You. You know what I mean? And then you evolve from that. You just keep going and going. I still have some of those records, young teenager, And, it was funny. It was a trip because I had went to my mom's house, and she had passed on, right? And my brother was telling me, yeah, Mom has a bunch of records. So I went in there and I got all of her records. I mean, albums. It was a lot of East Side Stories. Like I said, she was into the War and the Joe Patan and all these records that I have till this day. I have, that has her name on it. And then I'm ruffling through her 45s, and I see some that said my name on it, and it was just so cute because it was just like a little kid writing, And so I've been doing it for a really long time, really long time.
I can relate, right? Because, I've always, oldies has played a big role in my life, right? And, I always say, oldies are the soundtrack to my life. Like, if my life could have a soundtrack, like, they're literally, there's, I think, a song that, sometimes I'll just be listening to music and I'll hear a certain song and I could, just remember certain things, certain memories come to mind. Just like you were an inspiration to me.
A lot of women, and I'm saying this on the real, a lot of women will write me and they'll tell me that I've inspired them or I've led them on that path of collecting as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me, now mind you, this is 2009 when I first started. So I didn't know nobody. I didn't know no collectors. I didn't know anything about anything. I just knew that I discovered YouTube. Once I discovered YouTube and I just punched in underground oldies and boom, just records just started popping up. And you know what? I was just beside myself. I would listen to one and I'll say, what the hell is that? And I would say, say.
Yeah.
And then I said, wow, how is it that all these guys, and mind you, there were no females. There were no females doing this at all. You see what I'm saying? So it was, how do you say, it was a new beginning for me. I was just so beside myself. I was excited, like, oh my God. But like what you said about how the soul music, it refers to you in your life.
Right.
You know, everything that we do in life is based on, love, heartbreak, sadness. It just has so much emotions because you can hear lyrics, you can hear them singing, and you can hear the harmony, and it just breaks you. I mean, it makes your heart like ache because you think to yourself, man, I lived that.
Right?
That was me. You know, the pain and you know what? It's just, I just get too excited when I start talking about this, you know, but like you said, what I say, it pertains to my life. I tell the people, you're listening to my life story. This is all. This is it. This is it, you know? Yeah. So
and there's certain, you know, there's certain, how can I say, like oldies in general, right? I think like oldies, you know, all of them. We have the radio oldies. I call those like the regular oldies, and then you know you have your underground, then you have your rare soul. You know, I think there's different categories, right? I know
people refer them differently.
You know, when I look at you, right? You're such a successful vinyl spinner. I kind of even felt intimidated to even like go live and play oldies because I feel like if you're a vinyl spinner, you know, that's money invested. That's, you know, I would feel intimidated to go online. They're going to be like, ¿qué está que nomás está jugando oldies de la computadora? You know, like, ni le cuesta nada, you know, or something, you know?
But it wasn't like that. It wasn't.
Yeah, no.
I mean, you were helping.
Yeah.
You were just
like sharing your guys' videos. Like I just wanted it out there because like for me it was like, you know, I think when we first talked I had mentioned like I knew the difference because the oldies that I would hear on the radio were different than the ones I was listening at home. But you know, it's just that's there's a certain sound, and I'm super picky with my oldies, and there has to be a certain sound for me to like move me, like, you know, it just moves you. Exactly. I want to know, how did you get started? Even like, you know, doing gigs, like did it go from like starting YouTube videos? Like were you just posting YouTube and then you got connected with people that way, or how did you even get started?
Well, like I said, I went to YouTube. And when I seen all these 45s on there was one particular person that was doing it. I was intrigued by it. I was like, wait a minute. Wow, I want to start doing that. I want those records, those kinds of records, you know. So I hit this person up and I had asked him and I had said, yeah, I wanted to know how would I go about, learning how to collect these, you know, like, where would I find these and can you help me out and this and that. And all he did was he just pushed me in the right direction. You know what I mean? He was the one, I'd rather not say, you know, who he is or anything, but just know that he is one of the baddest collectors in California or the country to me.
Wow.
One of the baddest collectors. He has that ear of gold. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, so he led me along the way. He is from NorCal. And he's the one that put me in the right direction, and he taught me about different labels because you couldn't get this label because that's the second pressing. You always got to get the OG label. Bottom line, you don't mess with reissues. You don't, you know, if you want to be who you are. Now, mind you, I wasn't the Soulera then. I was just Arlene 5150. That was it. He was the one that named me. He's the one who told me, but you know what? You should call yourself Soulera. And that was a big honor to me. You know why? Because since he was the baddest collector and he called me that, I was like beyond myself. Because you know why? He knew that there was something in me. Yeah. You know, the drive, the hours, the money I spent, you know, just he knew there was something. So then I told him, I said, hey, yeah, I like it. I like that name. but could I add 5150 to it? And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's even better. And that's how it came down. Was, you
Yeah.
know, he was the one that named me. So I embraced it. I bowed down, you know, like saying, yeah, hell yeah, I could do this. And then that's where it started right then and there. So after I started accumulating, you know, buying more records, and here was my first record I was buying. It was the Ordals, Sipping on a Cup of Coffee. Okay.
Oh, one of my
And at that
favorites.
time, oh girl. So at that time, when I got that record, I only paid $50 for it. And to me, starting off on that level of $50 records was like, oh my God, that's a lot of money, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Yeah,
Because you're
I
used
can
to buying
relate.
records like for $2, a dollar. You
Yeah.
know, you
Uh
go
huh.
into your local record shop and you're
Yeah.
just, you know, picking up cheapies, right?
Yeah.
So then after that, so I was like, oh, what the hell? So after that, I was like, oh, hell, let's do this. So I just kept, you know, doing my homework, searching, going through different websites that they had for music at that time. You know what I mean? And then you catch wind. You catch wind of all these other collectors that were selling and buying, and, you know, you start getting into the loop. But a lot of dudes were like, what the oh, I don't know if I could say bad words, but never mind. But what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, who's this? Who's this broad? You know, who does she think she is? You know, wanting this record and that record. And I paid no mind to it at first. You know what I mean? I just wanted to collect them. So I started adding them to my YouTube. Adding. So when I had a good chunk on my YouTube, you know, I'd say it's probably about a good maybe 80 records. I
Wow.
got hit up by, Tommy Siqueiro. He's one of the biggest, he was one of the biggest collectors, rest in peace, Tommy Siqueiro. He was one of the biggest record collectors in NorCal. So he wrote me on YouTube, and he had asked me if I was willing to come and spin up north in San Jose for an art show of some kind. It was like a Chicano art show, you know, it was really cool, you know. So I was like, yeah, you know, at first I was like, no, I'm not a DJ. I'm just a collector. You know, that's how it's
Yeah.
always been.
Yeah.
I'll always say, I'm a collector before I say I'm a DJ, because I'm not a DJ. I'm really not, you know. I mean, I learned how to do it and everything, and yeah, I did it for I spun for like 12 years straight. 12 years. You know, and this was all the time, Crystal.
Wow.
It was like, you know, at least once a month that I was doing initial shows, and we'll get to that after, you know, but, yeah, so that's where I first started. My first gig was up in San Jose.
Were you nervous? Did you have any experience with the turntables? Like, what was that like?
None at
Oh
all.
my goodness.
I was so nervous. So I'm in the
Yeah, I
hotel,
can
right?
imagine.
I was in the hotel, and I would think about it, and then I would start gagging, like, ugh, you know, like, oh, I can't do this, you know, because I had never done it. So I told Tommy, I said, dude, I can't do this. And he was like, oh, yes, you can. You're only going to have 200 pairs of eyes on you, which he knew was making me more nervous, you know.
Oh, wow.
He goes, don't worry. When I'm up there, I'm going to DJ alongside you. That was who I spun with, was next to Tommy Siqueiro, me and him together at the same time. You know,
Wow.
his record, my record, his. And that's how he showed me, yeah.
Can you tell me what are some events that you've done?
Oh, girl. Okay. Well, see, what happened was, when I came back down to LA, there wasn't nothing going on. Nothing. You know, there were no shows or nothing. Nobody was doing anything, but they were collecting. You know what I mean? So what I did was, I went to a few shows, that are down here, you know, like they'll have like Dieta and all these different bands that would do shows. And, I would go to those and, you know, like meet people and stuff. And I went ahead and, I knew of this person, and he was a big inspiration. He's like one of the baddest collectors in LA. Okay. So I introduced myself to Mr. Ruben Molina, which he's a historian, author, he's a record collector, and we met and we got along really well, you know. And then I was doing a radio show at that time in LA. That's where I went next when I came back.
So you had like your own segment on a like
Yes, I
show?
did.
Wow.
I did. And what I did on this segment was like, for instance, Ronnie Walker, really, really love you. Okay. So I got a hold of him. Now mind you, all these artists thought that they were dead and gone. You know what I mean? They thought that their career was nothing and nobody made anything of these older artists that were long gone, that were considered non-mainstream. You know what I mean? So he was pretty hyped up that there was actually a person that wanted to talk with him and do an interview with him. So I would do that on my shows. I would interview like these artists, you know what I mean? Like, Don't Be Surprised by Lynn Williams. You know what I mean? I got real friends with her and did one on her. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it was just me going out there and looking for these people. So then, so I started, how do you say, like meeting, other collectors. I guess they thought that, hey, you know, this girl's serious, you know, she's really into this. So then, I was invited to do, a show. It was going to be our first show. Okay. Wait, let me back up again. Okay. After I left San Jose and did that show, they had another show up there, and I had went to that one up there. No, I didn't spin, I didn't do anything, but they still welcomed me with open arms, you know what I mean, and took good care of me up there, and that's what I loved about them, because they knew where I was from. You know, nobody was tripping on that north and south, not as, you know what I mean, like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, it's Soulera from LA, but there was no animosity. Everybody was like really cool with me, you know. So yeah, I did go up a second time to see actual spinning, you know, of these collectors that I looked up to, you know, and it was, oh my gosh, girl, I was in tears because one of the selectors, one of the DJs, I'm not even going to say DJ, I'm sorry, one of the collectors was spinning. And he spun my favorite of all time record. And I was just standing there watching him on the dance floor with a beer in each hand. And he played These Are the Things by the Emulations. The most beautiful moment. And I knew I was, how do you say, that's it. I'm taking off. I got to share this music because you know what? It took for me to go up to San Jose. It took me to listen to these selectors that were badass and to put down those records that that music wasn't even being played down here. There were no shows. You see what I'm saying? So then when I came back to LA, and then another dude that was all into the Rare Soul on YouTube, and he was the one that hit me up too. Hey, we should do a show down here, you know? So I was like, all right. So we just went ahead and we just started, you know, getting together all these other collectors, and that was our first show. It was at Original Mike's. Yeah. So we did that, and it was really nice. We had people come in from like Imperial Soul from Arizona came in, and you know, it was just a variety of different people that were already into the music, but they were collecting in their own states. You know what I mean? Right. So it was really cool to see how everybody united at that point, you know?
And I think that's the beautiful thing about music, about oldies, is that it knows no color, it knows no race, it knows nothing, and it unites us together. That's why I love it so much. That's amazing that you have been able to travel. You've met several artists.
Girl,
I know you were mentioning you were opening up for Duran Jones and the Indications.
Twice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the modern soul. This is what we call modern soul now.
So
Okay.
what's the difference? So for those that are listening
Modern
in,
today.
yeah.
It's
So
the today artists, the young
okay.
people that are going out and putting themselves out there as far as like, okay, this is our sound, okay. Duran Jones and the Indications, that was pretty much not the first, because then you had Jason Joshua, you know what I mean? You had what's his name?
Mariah Avila, all them.
They came after a little bit
Yeah.
after.
Okay. At that time. Yeah.
Right. So I was invited to do a gig for in downtown LA for Hello Stranger. Okay.
Okay.
She's awesome. Her name's Angela. She runs the Hello Stranger down in downtown LA, where she has a spot where she has events and music, and it's all music, food and drink. You know what I mean? She's a really good girl. I adore her because her brother used to throw the oldie shows over here in Montebello at the Quiet Canyon, which that's where I used to go, and I used to see like Bloodstone, The Intruders, The Moments, you know what I mean? And at that time, that's when there were all the original artists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a sister, and she used to work at the Hop. It was called the Hop here in La Puente, a city of industry, where they used to have all these groups come out there. You know what I mean? They used to have the Delphonics. They used to have, I've seen the Delphonics. I've seen the Midnighters, the original. You know what I mean? I've seen War when it was War, not just one singer War. You know what I mean? Because there's just so many groups out there that are out there putting themselves out there, and everybody thinks it's the OG singers, and it's not. They're dead. Hello? You know what I mean? They're not the original singers. You don't have the original singers from Intruders. For sure, Delphonics. You don't. Because it's William Hart that was the lead singer of the Delphonics.
Right.
He recently passed, maybe 2 years ago?
Yeah.
So the only remaining Delphonic is Wilbert. Okay? Wilbert Hart, and he's back east. So when I see that, it's like, it's heartbreaking, but then I get it. It's nostalgia. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, the people still love this music. And you know what the ironic thing is? Is that they're all young people. So I don't say nothing. I don't want to burst nobody's bubble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just leave them alone. They love the music. So that's that. But yeah, so, before getting into the, all the people that I've opened for, I just wanted to say that I was with a group called the Southern Soul Spinners. It was me, Ruben Molina, Josh Whitmore. It was, George Miller. It was just a array of dudes, right? From Buena Park, you know what I mean? We just had, like, maybe about 9 was the most we've ever had, and it was all dudes and just me. So that's what we did for like the first maybe I'd say 8 or 9 years. You know, we were just heavy deep into the doing all the shows here in LA. You know, in La Puente, we had a designated place where we used to spin all the time. And then now you have Ruben Molina, which he was well, I think we like appointed him to be leader. You know what I mean? Because he was the one that had connections. He's the one that, you know, used to bring out Barbara Mason, Joe Batan, the Young Hearts, Brenda Holloway. The list goes on and on with this man. He's amazing. Amazing. So that's where I got my lucky break, because I was his partner. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Right. So that's how I got into, hey, Lean, you want to open up for the Young Hearts? And I was like, what? Hell yeah. You want to open up for Barbara Mason? Oh, my God. You know, when he did Barbara Mason, I opened for that. It was the most fantastic thing, girl. You know that she walked in through the double doors and she was coming in through that way, and she started singing Troubled Child.
Oh my gosh.
It was insane. I worship that lady.
What's your most memorable gig that you've done so far? The one that you can't forget?
Oh, the one, girl, it's when I went to England twice.
Wow.
It was in 2017.
Okay.
I got invited, and this was due to, like I said, my partner, Rosa Molina. He went to England before me. So he was all like telling, the main guy, Sean, he's from England. He told him, hey, you need to bring Soulera out here, she would, just like, do it good for you guys here. And at first he even told me too, he was kind of like, kind of skeptical, because I was a female. Because that's unheard of, over there it was predominantly men too as well, England, now people don't think of it like, England, what? England listens to these records? Of course they do. Yeah,
I think even in Japan, right? Like, there's so
Japan,
many.
yes. Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, that's where Ruben Molina just recently went to Japan.
Wow.
Yes, so he does a lot of traveling too as well. But my thing was, the guy messaged me and said, hey, we'd like to have you out here the gig was in Sheffield, England, but he lived in Chesterfield. So he was more in the country, and then Sheffield was more by Manchester, England.
Okay.
So I was like, what the hell? Okay. This was a July gig, okay?
Okay.
So I was shaking. I was like, wait a minute, that's crazy. Okay, I'll do it. Of course, he paid all my way, the flight there and back, and I ended up staying at his house, which was a beautiful home, 2-story. I mean, it was like you see in the movies, those English homes with burgundy walls and just beautiful artwork all over the place. I mean, it was just insane. You only see that shit on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he picked me up from the airport, and believe it or not, it was July and it was raining. Because it rains a lot in England. And that's what I love, because I love the rain, so it didn't bother me at all. So I did the gig for him, and it was a nice, like a small, what they call like a chateau kind of, hotel. It was really nice. He had rented out the room there, and there was all kinds of people there that I've known on Facebook as my friends for years, and I barely got to meet all of them. They showered me with gifts. They gave me records, and just the love there, and after, when you're up there and you're spinning for these people, nobody dances, they just sit there and then they clap after every record. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh yeah, it was like, and then I would see pictures like people taking how, like certain soul groups up there were all mesmerized, just staring and staring. And I wasn't uncomfortable, but it was kind of weird, all these people making a fuss over me, you know what I mean, for me being there. Now, mind you, this is what they call us in the lowrider scene. That's what they call our stuff. They call it the lowrider scene, the lowrider oldies. So then after that, the next day, I was there for like maybe, I think 5 or 6 days.
Wow.
Because he wanted to show me around England, countryside. Then we went to this town in the city of Yorkshire. It's called York. And those old movies where you see the castles? The old castles with the walls around the whole city? Okay, that's how it was, York. And it looked like a scene from Harry Potter.
I could imagine.
The whole trip, I was in awe. And besides hitting every pub and drinking their beers, their pints, you know what I mean? So that's what he told me. That's what he told me. He says, hey, I went and bought some Coronas. I said, why? And he was like, well, so you could feel at home. I said, I don't even like Corona. And then I said, no, don't do that. I want to live like how you guys live,
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
happened. Yeah. I was just going to
Wow.
every pub with him and his partner, Kevin, and he showed me a really good time. Yeah. And then we had another guy, drive 2 hours in from London who did an interview on me. Yeah, so he came and did an interview on me, and then I kind of like broke down, like cried, like, like of seeing my life, being where I came from and how messed up I was, to collecting records, to being in England. You know what I mean? There's
Such a big
lots of parts of my
accomplishment,
life.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parts of my life I'd rather not talk about. You know what I mean? Like,
I
that
understand.
I endured, that made me strong and who I am today. You know what I mean? You come out of that dark hole that you never thought you would crawl out of, and then you're sitting in England listening to, hey mate, you know what I mean?
Man, that's, I think in itself life-changing, right? Like, where you can say, like...
most definitely.
Right.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So then in 2018, one of the guys that was in the audience, everybody calls him Flanny. Now, Flanny has a son. His name's Liam. Now, Liam is in a soul group over there, and they're called Tough Love. Okay? So his dad wanted to surprise his son, Liam, and, like I said, calls me out to England again, and in Liverpool. My son had just graduated high school, so I took him with me. They paid my way, but I paid my son to go for graduation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so he was my travel partner, and it was pretty cool. We did all kinds of amazing things there,
Our cultura, right, has embraced that sound. Like, they connect, right? Like, you identify, like, oldies with Chicanos, and it's just so
exactly.
us.
It's the culture. Yeah, you're right.
It's the culture. How important do you feel it is to you and to our culture?
Oh my gosh. That's like, you know what? You know what it is? I see it like this. I says, we as a culture, we love hard. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We love real hard, and we're really compassionate people. That's how I see it. And when we go through love things or heartbreak or sadness, we take this music and it's in our soul. You know what I mean? And it just, either it heals you or it makes you feel better. Either way, you know what I mean? And in our culture, now mind you, this has been going on since, the 50s. You had your doo-wop, you know what I mean? You had your 50s, your early 60s, you had doo-wop. Then you had in the mid-60s, they were doing crossover, which means that they were like kind of converting, to being I like to collect, 1969 through 72, oldies, you know what I mean? I just love the way how that crossed over, which it was more meaningful. You know what I mean? That's my era. That's what I like. I go from there to there. If you see a lot of my records, you can look at the dates or look them up and see what they are. And that's generally like the time that I like, certain eras. You know what I mean?
What's your most valuable record? The one that you're like, this is my baby right here.
Oh, gosh. I got a lot of them. I can say that, I even tattooed the name of the song on my arm.
Really?
I don't have it, and I am going to get it. You know what I mean? But it's called Color One Tear Black by Double O Domingo. Okay.
Color One Tear Black by Double O Domingo. Okay.
Yes.
I don't even think I've heard that one yet.
Girl, when you hear that, it's going to blow you away.
I'm about to hear it after this interview.
Yes, do it, please. And I have it tattooed with a black tear, under. Yeah, I have it. And for me, that would be, I don't know. I'm guessing, I haven't really checked the price on that one lately, but I know it's going for at least $2,500.
Oh my
And
goodness.
when I do find it, I will get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have a lot of records that are like that, you know. Let's say, Time After Time on the Kuka label, you know. Step by Step, you know what I mean? And that record, it's like, God, I have so many, girl. But that one would be like one of them, you know, that I love dearly. They have a reissue on that one right now.
Okay.
So it's funny, a record dealer, he went ahead and sent me the reissue, and he says, "Why don't you give the real one a break?" You know, like a joke. But yeah, so you know, it's just like there's so many. I can't really say like my top, and it's not the most expensive. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's the emulations. These are the things. You know, that one's going for at least, I don't know, the last I seen it was going for like 7, 8, maybe 900 now. When that was only a trade, I traded somebody a record for that record, you know. We do that. You know, as collectors, we'll be like, hey, I want that one, but hey, I like that one, you know. Or trade across, you know. And we do things like that. And, so if you play that one, blow the people away. It's such a beautiful song. These are the things.
And my last question to you is, for any young woman, any young man, or anybody that's listening that says, I love oldies, I want to start collecting vinyl, but where do I start? Like, or maybe they have a few vinyl records that they bought and they love, you know, they aspire to be a vinyl spinner. What words of encouragement do you have for that small collector that's just starting?
Oh, well, first of all, they better have a good job. That's what, you know, cause it's like, you heard of that saying, if you can't stand the heat, stay out the kitchen? It's like that. Because this is a very pricey hobby. You know what I mean? Imagine, a record pops up on eBay. That's one of the places that a lot of people go to, is eBay. You just punch in your artist, you know what I mean? And the name of the song, bam, there's all the records right there. You can go to Discog and Discog.com, and in there, same scenario, but you're not fighting over it. You know what I mean? Because that's what brings the prices up, because you got, thousands of collectors wanting one record. Well, you better have some money, because that bid is going to go up tremendously. Tremendously. You know, and some of us just sit back and look now like, God dang, why is these records, what the hell's going on? Well, back in the days, I bought records for like $200-$300. Now they're worth $14. Now they're worth $2,000. You know, my Santa Guns, you know, Lovers to Friends. That's one of my good favorites right there. That's like another one, Santa Guns, Lovers to Friends. That one there is going for $2,000, $2,500 right now. If found. That's if they find it. You see what I'm saying?
So you better have a job.
Yes. First things first. Have a job. You know. No, I mean, you know,
side hustle.
Something. You have to. You have to.
Okay.
You know,
it's an expensive thing to do.
Exactly. You know, but if you're more into the lower, you know, like the common, you can find those anywhere, eBay, Discog, anywhere, you know. It just depends, you know, on what you want. You know, if you want the rarities, you know what I mean? You gotta have connections. I got a lot of connections in England. I just email a few of them, say I'm looking for this, and boom, someone pops up, I got it. And you PayPal them, and that's it. They send it to you. You know, that's how it goes. Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So, I feel like, you know, any advice to anybody, you know, getting into vinyl, and I say that because, you know, I play oldies, and I didn't start collecting vinyl until now as an adult, you know. I didn't have any vinyl. You know, I said, if I'm going to buy vinyl, I'm going to buy quality and things that I like. So I understand when you say it's expensive.
Very.
But I feel like anybody that is aspiring to collect vinyl as a young person, or, you know, anybody, is do it. do it.
Yeah,
Don't, because that's also something that you can, leave to your family. You know what I mean? To your kids, to your children.
My 17-year-old, he told me, he says, Mom, when you died, can I have all your records? I was like, oh, that was such a proud moment. It was, girl. I was so proud. I was like, hell yeah, you can. Because like right now, my 17-year-old, he's in love right now. So he's getting it. You know what I mean? No, not getting it, but he's getting the music, how it's like, it's all about love and happiness and, or sad or whatever. But he already claims my record. So I'm just glad they're going to be going to just him. I said, hey, mijo, do you want me to put what they're worth on the corner for you? And he's like, no, because I'm never going to sell them.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, that's amazing that, I think that's why it's so important to continue to share, do gigs, and not to stop, because I feel like, we need to continue to show our second generation this music so that it doesn't stop. And I think it's so crazy how vinyl just blew up. Like, so many.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so crazy how it just blew up. What do you think inspired that?
Maybe because of the fact that, like, there's a lot of collectors up north, down south, that are putting these comps together, these CDs, so that everybody can hear it. They have the same drive as me. They want to share this music, you know what I mean? And it's out there. A lot of it influence is the internet. It's social media. It's Instagram. It's Facebook. It's YouTube. You know what I mean? And these people, these youngsters or anybody, they're listening to this and they're like, whoa, what is this? Right. And that's the big craze right now is the vinyl. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Not to mention, like I said, all these other collectors that are making these comps for people. You know what I mean? That are putting them out there. And I think that is really cool because there are a lot of good comps. You have Soulful Things, Nick Aguirre's comps. You have George Miller's comps. You have the Lost Soul comps, with Sal. You have Ruben Molina even has comps out there. You know what I mean? So everybody, even I have one. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so it's just I think it's in a whole array of different scenarios that are going down that everybody's starting to get hit to the soldies as they call them now. It's just everything that surrounds us in the culture because at like car shows or something, there's somebody selling a table full of comps that are from all these different collectors that are putting out there, So that's what influenced.
Yeah, and that's, I think, the power of social media and the internet, right? That I feel like that has given vinyl a big exposure, right? And it's been able to reach so much more people because it's online. So that's, I think that's what it is. It's just, the power of social media and the internet.
Yeah, and all the sweat, blood, and tears. You know what I mean? Collecting, the time you put into it to find your records, to buy your records, to sit by a mailbox, you know what I mean? Or it's just so much for these, and I give all these collectors out there the props, you know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, you got Linwood Soul out there doing it, Like I said, you got so many people that are out there putting these comps out, and they're badass. Seriously, they are badass what these people are doing.
And you're so right, because it takes time. It takes time to create these videos and to upload and to, for you, I think, you were posting videos, you are posting videos on YouTube, and it does take time, right? You have to record the song, you have to upload it, if you would have never take your time to upload those videos, and everybody all across YouTube, all across the internet that have taken their time, right, that takes their time to make the videos and post them so that everybody on online can be, be exposed to such beautiful
and
music.
can hear this beautiful music,
Right.
and love it. Like everybody I know that's around me loves it. You know what I mean? When we get to collectors, it's like we have our own language in itself when we're talking about records, and people on the sidelines that don't know what we're talking about is like, what are you guys talking about? And they see how deep we are into it because we talk about labels, we talk about first pressings, we talk about, oh, where did that one come out of? What stage and this and that, and that's the best conversation you can have is when you're talking records, honestly.
Yeah.
And
not only that, but I think just like how you were saying earlier, when you went into this, you didn't know what you were doing. And you just did it because of the passion that you had for the music. If anything, right, I feel like anybody that wants to start collecting, just like Soulera, just like myself, you take that chance. Don't be afraid to jump into it. Don't be afraid because Soulera was just as nervous and scared, but you might just have a few vinyl records and you're like, but I only have 2 or 3 or 4. It doesn't matter. You play the heck out of those 3 or 4.
Those 3 or 4. Yeah. Yeah.
And post videos, make content,
Yeah, because I don't see no other women posting all this on YouTube.
Yeah.
Let me know if you do.
Yeah.
Because I would like to see what these girls have, not to judge them, but just to see, their passion. I show the world my passion. You know what I mean? That's why it's gotten me to open up for Barbara Mason, Joe Pathan, Mike Kirkland, Mike of the Sensations. I opened up for, like I said, Brenda Holloway's, Young Hearts, Duran Jones. Like I said, I did that Hello, Stranger gig. I opened up for the Sacred Souls. I didn't know who the Sacred Souls were. I really didn't. First heard them, I was up on the balcony looking down, having a beer. I looked down and I was like, what the hell is that? You know what I mean? And look at them now. They're so badass. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the father of the drummer, he does all the 45 t-shirts with all the different record labels on t-shirts. Have you ever heard of them? 45 something. I don't know. But I think he's based out of San Diego. He got his son and all of the Sacred Souls to sign a 45 for me. They all autographed a 45 for me, and he mailed it to me. And I was beside myself because I really love those. The Sacred Souls are like my number 1 favorites right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. With Sacred Souls, I kind of just, when I first heard of them, I heard the one that everybody loves, Can I Call You Rose? That's the only one that, that's the only one that I had heard,
Okay,
that I
Week for Your Love.
Yeah, that was another one, Week for Your Love, yes. But that's as far as I took it. I never went in to see, like, let me listen to the whole album. It was just like those 2. It was only until recently that I was at home and I was just hanging out. I go, you know what? Let me put the album on. And when I heard all the whole album, I was like, I felt cheated. I felt like, why didn't I listen to this a lot sooner? So barely now I'm like bumping like Future Lovers. That's one of my favorites.
Right, yes.
That's like the one that I've been bumping most, but they're just an amazing band, and I feel like it's such an honor for the younger generation to be inspired by the older music, and to want to continue to invest their time in producing a new sound in it, but that sounds just like music from the past. It's so inspiring, and it's such an honor to know that there's still people out there that want to conserve the sound of a Rare Soul. It's just amazing.
and you're right. You're absolutely right, because I was working with this young girl. She was HR's daughter, and I was working with her. And mind you, she's only 16 years old. And it was just me and her at the office. And I go, what are you listening to? And she was like, oh, this song. So she put it on loud, and I was like, my mouth dropped. It was Duran Jones and the Indication. And then she started playing "We For Your Love" by the Sacred Souls, and she's a little white girl. Okay, so and then when I was telling her about me and showing her my stuff, she goes to her mom, HR. She says, "How come you didn't tell me about Soulera?" So it's how do you say? It's spreading, and it is spreading like you wouldn't believe, because like we say, it's all social media, TikTok, Instagram,
definitely.
Facebook. Yeah. So.
Well, speaking of that, do you have any social medias? Where can people find you, hear your music? What are your social medias? How do we find you?
Let me see. Yeah. On YouTube, you can find me under Soulera, Soulera 5150, and then on same as Instagram, Soulera 5150. And it's on your flyer anyways. They can go back and refer to the name there.
Yes.
And then, same as Facebook. Also too, I have TikTok now. Barely got in.
Soulera, thank you so much. Again, I appreciate you for this interview.
Oh, thank you.
And I hope to have you soon again.
Cool, because there's more where this came from, you know?
Oh, yes. So we'll do a part 2 soon.
We gotta talk about all the artists I opened up for. There was multiple more, you know? That's why I'm saying I am grateful that I was given this opportunity, you know, from my partner, Ruben Molina, all the people out there, and just what I love, what you're listening to, and what I buy is what I love. I'm not trying to keep up with other collectors. I'm not trying to, you know, be better than anybody else. Hell no. I collect what I love. What hits me in the heart, you know what I mean?
Right.
So so thank you so much for having me. You know, I'm just in awe that, you know, we talk now, and, you know, just after all these years, you finally see the face, and you finally connect with the voice, and your vibe is awesome. And I thank you so much.
Thank you. I know it's like I was intimidated to reach out to you because we only knew each other from Facebook, but you know, that's where I said, you know what, push yourself, challenge yourself. Even if you're scared, reach out to her. What's the worst she can say? No?
And see what happened? You know what I mean? And it was like, it's like the same, you know, because like you know, you put that music out there too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like, it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
You know, that one day me and you would connect. We just adored each other from afar, because I adored what you were doing, putting out all this music so your people can hear it, and then their people. You know what I mean? It all trickles down.
Wow, thank you. And I'm still in awe, and I appreciate you. And everybody, please go follow Soulera. Look her up on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Soulera 5150. Do you have any gigs coming up? Anything you got going on that you want to share? Any events or anything?
No, not right now.
Not right now?
I'm kind of laying low. Yeah. You know, I just like to say I'm a collector right now. You know what I mean? Because I just want to, how do you say, reinvent myself? Like, I'm starting to dig a little deeper. I'm just trying to find more of what's out there, you know? That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay, well, that does conclude our interview for today. That is episode 2 here on the Barrio Love OD podcast. Don't forget to follow and check us out next week, because we got an amazing interview coming up. With that being said, it is I, of course, your girl, Ms. Crystal Marie from Barrio Love ODs, and I'm out.